Well, hopefully that's all worked. Hi, everyone. Now, let me bring up this because I think I can bring up the pre-show. Yes, it works. Hi, everyone. I'm trying something completely new today, so expect lots and lots of mistakes because I'm streaming this time basically without my computer. So I'm doing everything through the ATM Extreme using different software and everything else. Just wanted to give it a go. You know, I'm always trying to push the boundaries, and I really wanted to see how it all goes. So we are in pre-show. If you don't want to watch that, obviously you can skip to later. I'll try and put a timeline down a little bit later too. I think I can even put a ticker in. Let me have a look. Time. I can do a stopwatch. Let me go and say show. Yep, so I can put that up the top. It should help, actually, because it's pretty close. So yeah, this is I'm using multiple different programs today, so it's going to be really interesting to see how I go. I'm going to be using my iPad to read the news, and I'm using a Raspberry Pi that played that video that I did at the start, and I'm using another program called H2R Graphics to bring up all of the comments and things like that. So Kerry just brought my Milo in. Thank you, Kerry. So it's going to be interesting. So let me just check the chat because I think now that I can actually show the comments live. So let me just see. Let me quit the lower thirds first though, because that will have to be hidden. Now I think, do you notice too now, everyone that's sort of commenting now are starting to pop up on the bottom. Now this is really cool too because it shows all of the people where you're coming on. So as you log on, I think it shows you as a little icon down the bottom. Now I'll turn it off after a while, but I'm just curious to see how this all builds up. So it looks like it's all working great. It's taken me so long to get this all organised. I've been going at it for a couple of weeks now, but I think I'm finally getting there. Now, let me just go to the chat because I can also show chat as well. Now, I'll have to turn off probably the bottom bit later because now I might hide. Will I hide the audio? No, it should be all right. I think I can see it. I love Long Rider's comment here. That's a classic. He said, another damn vlogging camera. That cracks me up. Matthew, like I said, we are in pre-show at the moment. Matthew said hi from Mesa, Phoenix. Now, when we do ask questions later, guys, can you make sure you put @David Osler because I can filter them out. Because sometimes what happens is the chat ends up going for so long because it's people talking to each other. So if you do definitely want me to ask a question or make sure that I don't miss something, if you put the @David Osler, then I should just be able to open up mentions and it should just show in there. In fact, if someone could just test it, if you can put the @David Osler, I'll check it just to see if it works because it should come under mentions. So it's all going to be different how it works. Angel is also saying, hello, David. John is also saying hello as well. Matthew's here. I think I showed that one from Phoenix, Arizona. Brett is here as well, saying hello. Daniel is saying howdy all. The other thing too, I know I have to refresh this every so often. Rocco says, hello from Southwest Florida. Actually, let me move that over there because then it'll look more like I'm looking at the camera. What else have we got? Raymond said, I better put my 51.2 away so I can watch Dave instead. Have you just got that, Raymond? Wow. Oh, now there we go. Some people have been putting them in. So let me... see if they show up in this mentions. Yes, they do. Oh, cool. All right, that makes it even easier for me because what it does, it filters out every other comment and all I see is the mentions. So I can sort of see it then directly from here. So that's really good. I really like that actually. The big Q. What's the big Q mean? Oh, I love it. Rocco is also saying their mentions, and Sizzleman as well. Hey, David, that's fantastic. So it works. So what that means now is you guys can all be chatting amongst each other, and I'm not going to waste time by going and answering questions that someone's already answered. So it looks like it's really good. Oh, I just got a super chat as well. I did bring it up. See how it brings the orange around the corner? So super chats work as well. What did Long Rider say? If this new APS-C camera is for vloggers, I am taking Ursula hostage till we get a proper APS-C birding camera. I love it, Long Rider. What a classic. I think it is. Does look like it's going to be more of a vlogging one. Well, I don't know. It depends if you like a flip screen or not. Look, if you like a flip screen, I do. So I don't really think it's a vlogging camera. You can just keep the thing closed. I'm going to talk about that a fair bit today. Hey, David, which Sony lenses is your favourite? Look, I'd have to say my favourite Sony lens of any lens is the Sony A7, the 135mm. I've got two of them I love. The 24mm I adore. That video that I showed at the beginning of this was nearly all shot. I think I just used the Batis and a couple of shots, but that was 98% shot with the 24mm. So I'd say, look, if I'm dealing with gimbals and things like that, my favourite is the 24, 1.4 GM. If I'm doing portraits, definitely my favourite is the 135. So, you know, they're by far my favourite lenses that I've got. Hello from Alabama. It's going to be the ZV-2. Well, it's sort of a mix between the two of them. So, you know, it's quite interesting how it's sort of going to be working out. So I think it definitely is going to be a mix. But we'll talk about that too as we go on. Well, this is great. This chat works fantastic. I'm wrapped in how that works. And I just have to keep an eye on all of the little images that show up on the bottom, because eventually what will happen is, see, if I show that, it's going to eventually take it over. But I can leave it on sort of at the pre-show, and once it sort of starts to go across, I can then delete it. It's just nice to sort of see images of where people are from. Let me have a... oh, look at my cup. This was from judging. Oh, that way, I think. Let me see if I can get it in focus. Is it going to focus? Doesn't like that, does it? Oh, there we go. That was it's old. Oh, keep seeing my face, I think. That was done in 2012. I did a judging competition for a photography group. So don't forget, guys, I'm not going to answer questions unless you do the @David Osler. So if it's to me, it has to be put as @David Osler. Otherwise, I just think that you're talking to each other. So, you know, we just sort of have to make it that way. In fact, I'm not even looking at those other ones. I'm just looking at the @David Osler ones. Sony A7000. Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be called that, but it sort of is that one that we've all been waiting for, I think. Hello from Plantation, Florida. Enjoyed your video from Sydney. Thank you very much. Yeah, I had a ball over there. I have to go back again. We were only there for 2 days, so it was a very short visit. But thank you so much for enjoying it. I'm really proud with how that video came up. I used the Moza Air 2S. Moza sent me that gimbal before it was released, actually, so I wanted to take it away and do something special with it, and I think I did. So I'm really happy with how the images looked. Can't beat the 135 GM. I know. I absolutely love that lens, Brett. It really is my favorite. If I've got the room, I will always grab out the 135. If not, I will then go to the 85 Batis. I've still got the 85 Batis. I'm so happy with that. The other thing I love about the Batis is it has stabilization built in. So that's a real benefit, I think, of that, say, over the other 85 mils that are out there. David, do you think we will get a new RX10? Well, we may. I mean, it's possible, but who knows? I mean, look, I'm still waiting for the A7R4. I mean, the A7 IV. I mean, I hope that Sony will be doing that fairly soon. I still think that that's going to be coming, you know, this year sometime. We just don't know when at this stage. Signing in from New Orleans. Sony RX10 will be nice. Yes, it certainly will be. I mean, most of those RX10s are really good cameras. I'm using the the Z6 II. Nice. Major stay. I'm not sure what that means. David, what's it say? David, did you have your no, I'm going to Monday. I've had the first one done. You can sort of just see it's just there. It was cancer, and there's still cancer there. So they have to do another operation and take more out. So I'll have another big bandage on Monday. I'm going Monday around 12 o'clock, I think. I'll be fine. It's just that they want to do a safety margin area. So they'll do another incision in. It'll be a bigger cut this time than what I had last time. And then they'll see if that's all clear. If it's not, then they'd have to take a more out again. So it's just, it is what it is. So I'm not stressed about it. It is what it is. But thank you for asking. David, did you have your chance to use the Sony A1? No, I haven't yet. I really haven't. Look, I mean, I was so excited about that camera when it's announced, and I still think it's amazing. But like I've said to you all, I think if I was buying another camera now, I'd buy another A7S III. You're going to laugh, but I love the 12 megapixel file size, and I could shoot with weddings with that all day long. I love the ergonomics, which are the same as the A1, but I love the video side of things with that camera. The EVF is incredible, and everything about it. So I really think if I was buying another camera right now, I would buy another A7S III because I'm getting so much into video. And I love the stills aspect of it and the focus. And I did mention in the last review, last week's show, that I went back to the A9, and I really didn't like using the A9 after I've been using the A7S III. And I suppose the A1 is going to be the same, but look, I just don't need that file size. I really don't. So, but if you're in the market for that, there's no better camera than the A1, that's for sure. Just saying, stay safe in Israel. Yeah, let's hope everyone is okay all over those areas. The A6700 and the A900, or maybe Sony release an A7000. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that as the first story, actually. I'll go over in a minute. Something occurred to me. I'm one of those paranoid users who always put Sony MC protective filters on my new lenses. Do you think doing so negates the super coatings of the lenses? Well, I don't use lens coatings at all. The filters. I don't use them. So you probably never would be able to tell the difference. But I'm not sure. Look, some people say it helps if you drop it. Others say it doesn't help if you drop it. I mean, I've had it where I've seen where it's been dropped and then that you can't get it off. And then you've got all sorts of problems too trying to get it on and off. The lens filter at the front of these lenses is actually a lot stronger than you think. It's very, very hard to actually scratch it. I think Tony Northrup did a video where he was trying to scratch it with keys, and it took him an awful lot of effort to actually scratch the front of the lens. So that does make a difference. And the other thing too is that you've got to understand too, if you do get slight scratches on the lens at the front, it won't show in your image anyway unless you're shooting f16 or f21 or 22. Look, it's up to you. If you are not comfortable with it, I would probably put one on, but I've never used one. So, yeah, it's hard to say. David, what is your least used or least favourite focal length? Just trying to think, actually. Well, I like the 50, I like the 35, I like the 85, and I like the 135. I can't really say because I vary all the time. So I'm not sure if I have one that's my least focal range because I even like wide open. It just depends on what I'm after in the shot. So I'm not sure. Just traded my 3-year-old A7 III for the A7S III. Oh, you're going to love it. It's just, like I said, it is fantastic. And you're going to be using that for real estate, photo, and video. All right, let me go on to the stories because we better start looking at some stories now. I'm going to hide the, let me hide the faces now. I've just got to work out where we do that now. Oh, it's here, yeah. Okay, so if I hide that, it then takes them out. Okay. Now I've got to make sure that I do this correctly because this is where I'm all learning now. So I'm like I said, I'm starting to use this ATM Mini Extreme in a completely different setup. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works. So the other thing too, the advantage of this is that the Blackmagic's doing the encoding. So I'm not. So people are at the door. I've got this persimmon tree out the front and they just keep wanting to buy them. If you're not sure what persimmon are, they're like this orange fruit, and the Italians and Asians love them. They go nuts, so they keep ringing the door trying to buy them. I'm sure that's probably what it is. Now let me go over to here. So this should work, I think. And then if I go auto, okay, so it's working. So let's have a look. So now this is interesting because the first story here is that Sony have discontinued 2 cameras. So it looks like they've discontinued the A6300 and also the A6500. Now this doesn't surprise me at all because if you look at it, I think Sony have got way too many cameras, and we sort of talked about this last week too, that, you know, they've got this massive amount now of cameras and they haven't sort of got rid of the older cameras that was there. And this probably does point to them releasing a new APS-C camera. Originally, I thought it was only the A6500, but Sony Alpha Rumors are saying now that they've discontinued the A6300 as well. So I just wanted to sort of report that because I thought, wow, that's interesting. Let me go on to the next one because that sort of leads into this. So let me go up there. All right, so let me just make sure that's in the right spot. Yep, it is. So they're saying that it's going to be the A6900, and that's what they're calling this camera that's going to be released. So it's the A6900, and it will actually come out before the end of the month. So that's really interesting, and they're saying here's what we know. So let's have a look what they're saying at this. Now this is from Digital Photography School, but it's taken, I think, directly from Sony Alpha Rumors anyway. It just says, don't forget, 2 guys in the chat, you have to do the @DavidOsler if you want me to answer things, because otherwise I think you're just chatting amongst yourselves. It says, for weeks, Sony Alpha Rumors has been dropping information regarding the so-called Sony A6900, which will debut in late May as an A6600 successor, which matches... well, it's interesting because they're still saying that the A6600 is still going to be there, but they've dropped the A6500. While the A6900 is yet to be confirmed, a trusted Sony Alpha rumor source said that the new camera will not be named the A6700. And they're saying it's going to be called a A6900 label. I'm surprised, really, that they didn't call it an A7000, really. Because I think... The update looks like it's substantial, so it looks like it's a really big update compared to a normal Sony, you know, the sort of A6000 type series camera that's sort of out there. So, so it's saying, what do we know about this? Yeah, this is what people here with the fruit. So they're saying here that confidently, now they're saying Sony Alpha Rumors confidently states that the A6900 will replace the A6600 but will feature an APS-C sensor and the body in a similar frame to the A7C. So it will be branded as a vlogging camera, and that's why Long Rider before was put that comment up about, oh no, not another vlogging camera. I laughed when he said that. Which suggests it will be it'll have several blogging-friendly features. And they're also saying that things like a fully articulating screen, but also impressive video capabilities of at least 4K 30p, plus mic, headphone jacks, and a compact design. So what they're saying here is that it's going to look sort of like the A7C in that type body. And that sort of makes sense to me because that is like a mix between the ZV-1 and the A6000 type series of cameras. So it sort of does make sense. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if this could be called the ZV-2. Oh no, but it's a different size sensor, so it probably won't be. And they're also saying that some are saying it will feature 4K 60. I don't think so. I don't think they'll put 4K 60 in this. I think it will be limited to 4K 30. I think you'd have to go up to the full frame bodies at this stage to get the 4K 60. A notable upgrade over the 4K 30 offered by the A6600. Interestingly, rumours also point to a new high-resolution sensor. Now, if they charge enough for this, they could put 4K 60 in it. That could be the case. It's going to be interesting to see where they position this camera at. I mean, I suppose because it's APS-C, they might say, well, this is the ultimate APS-C camera we've got, so we're going to offer 4K 60 in it. And then if you wanted to go full frame, then obviously you'd have to move up to the other cameras if you wanted to get the 4K 60. Rumours also point to a new high-resolution sensor, and they're saying 32 megapixels. So that sort of makes sense to me. In a surprising break from Sony's string of 24 megapixel APS-C models. So they're saying here are some unconfirmed specs. So improved rolling shutter, they have to improve that because the A6000 series at the moment, the rolling shutter is terrible. So it really would have to be improved dramatically over, you know, what they've done before. So the readout has to be much, much faster. So that's one thing that they've got to do. 20 frames per second. So it's almost like this mini A9 that we talked about a while ago. So we're sort of getting that in there as well. So it looks like it is going to be like the mini A9. With the even the video, or the A1 actually, it looks like it's going to be the mini A1 because it's going to have 4K, possibly 4K 60 as well. The same tilt screen as the A7C. Upgraded in-body image stabilization compared to the A7C, so it's going to have upgraded stabilization. Now that also makes sense too because the sensor is smaller, there's a lot more room there to actually move the sensor around. This is why Panasonic, the GH5s and all these other cameras get such good stabilization because they can really move that sensor around. So if it is, the APS-C version should be able to get better stabilization. And it looks like the price is going to be about, well, 1,800 United States dollars, roughly. I'm just seeing if they mention anything else. It's feature matched only by Sony's highest level full frame models and is wholly unnecessary for vloggers. They're just saying there. Of course, you can expect Sony's standard autofocus capabilities, including real-time IAF, etc. Now, there's a couple of interesting things too that. You know, will this have the CF Express A cards in it? I mean, that's another thing that sort of hasn't been mentioned anywhere. I mean, in theory, if there's only one card, they'd be able to put a CF Express A card that could also have your standard SD cards in there as well. So that's something I hope Sony do in this. Because now that there's another third party, and I did discuss that last week, it would be nice if they had that in there and then you'd have the ability to swap the cards between them. I don't think you'll get dual card slots in this camera though, but at least if you had CF Express A, I know they're expensive, but they will come down eventually. You could just use your standard SD cards for the time being and then later on move to CF Express A. The other thing too is it tends to be a much more robust type system, and I'm thinking if you're going to be shooting 20 frames per second, if it was 4K 60, etc., it would benefit from having that card, particularly if you wanted to clear the buffer. So I'm hoping it does have that CF Express A. I mean, really, it's in Sony's interest to do that anyway because they get more money by selling the cards, and I'm sure they're licensed to Sony anyway, even the third-party ones. So that's that. I'm going to keep going and then I'll pop back and discuss some chat later on. So that's that story, which is interesting. Now, they're saying it within 2 weeks, basically the end of this month. So, you know, it's going to be fairly quick. The other one I wanted to sort of talk about here too is that the Sony 50mm 1.2 lens is now shipping out, and I know Michael, who usually pops in the chat, has got his. So we'll start to see more and more reviews of this lens coming out. So it is there. It looks beautiful. I mean, the results really do look stunning. And I think, where was it? Here, there's some images of how this looks. I just wanted to show this. Oh, hang on, I've got to switch it. Let me just come back. Yeah, so this is how the lens looks. I mean, it's got the typical GM. That Sony have done some voodoo magic again that they've made this so small, particularly when you think it's a 1.2 lens. I love that it's got the declickable aperture there as well. You know, and you've got your full function buttons and things like that. So it looks really nice. It looks like it's a very nice fit for the Sony body because it's just not too big. If you look at it, I think it's a great fit. I really do. This is on the A1, but I think Sony have done a fantastic job. If you look there, it's a decent size. It's good for a 50mm 1.2. It is a 72mm thread, though. So that's that one, which I think is great. The other one I wanted to show you too was this, the 14mm lens. The only thing I suppose you've got to consider here is it does have that bulbous front. So unless you're going to be using the big filters, you're going to have to put the filters in the back of the lens. You'd have to do it that way. Again, it's got the exact same features. You know, you've got your aperture ring here, declickable, AF and MF button there, so you can toggle between autofocus and manual focus. I use that all the time on the gimbal for when I want to go between manual focus and autofocus, and your programmable buttons as well. But again, this looks like it's a really nice fit. This would be a great astro lens. You know, it looks beautiful. I mean, all the GM lenses now are really stunning. They all look basically like the 24mm 1.4 GM that I've got. And boy, Sony really are kicking it out of the ground. You know, I mean, it's fantastic. So I just wanted to show you that. If you look at the size difference between that and say the Sigma, you know, the Sony, I'd definitely prefer to be carrying around the Sony than I would with the Sigma, for instance. So that's that. And the last story before I open up to Q&A, because there's not much stories today, so I just thought I'd pop in and sort of show these. They're just saying too that Sony have announced expands the functionality of the camera remote. So the SDK, they've actually adding some improvements to it. And I'm not going to read the whole document, but they're basically saying that they've added Linux capability in case if you wanted to tether to Linux computers. They're also saying that you can control up to 20 devices with this new SDK. And they've added support for the Alpha 1 and the RX 0. And there's a whole article about this that I'll stick down below that you can have a read of if you wanted to read it. But it looks like that at least Sony are starting to fix some of their SDKs and adding more features into that. So, you know, I think it's terrific. So they're the stories. So let's go now to Q&A. So if you have anything that you would like me to answer, just put the @David Osler. Otherwise, like I said, I think you're talking to each other. I didn't expect it to go as long today because there's not as many stories coming out this time. Brett said, technically, UV filters were used for film cameras. Yes, that's true, Brett. They don't do anything for digital. The only thing that they would do is, like I said, some people light them to protect their lenses. If you don't want that, you don't need it on. It had something to do with the ultraviolet affected the film that was in there, so they had to put UV filters on them. You haven't got that problem with digital cameras, so it's really no longer relevant. In fact, you're just better off to get a clear glass filter. Remember, most camera shops will try and sell you these because it's an upmarket item. So that's the thing with it. They'll try and sell you a UV filter because it's, you know, they can get more money, and they make probably more. Well, they make a decent amount on that because it would be a huge dollar value that they would add on to it. So yeah, don't buy one. I mean, if you want to get one, just get something that's just a clear film one. But like I said, I don't use anything. I don't put anything on there. Raymond said, the new set looks great, but where did the gimbal Forest go? It's in the other room. Oh no, I must sell them. I've got one over there. You probably can't even see it. I've just got the Moser Air 2S over there in the corner. You just can't see it against the black. That's the big TV screen that I use to show wedding slides and stuff like that on there. The gimbal Forest is in the other room. I must get around to advertising them all and selling them because I've got so many of them there. What else have we got? Nice boots. Not sure what that means. Hi, David and everyone. Hope all is well with everyone. Let me just refresh this. See what else, if there's anything else comes up. And that looks like it's about it. I'm just trying to see if there's any others in there. No, it's down to about, oh, there's a couple more. Hi, David and everyone. Leslie's saying, hope all is well with everyone. So, yeah, like I said, there's not much more today because it's been very, very quiet in the Sony rumours. I'm sure in the coming weeks we'll get some more stuff that actually starts to come down. It's more with that, the A6000 series, we're waiting on that upgrade. It's still interesting how it's gone so quiet, though, with the A7 IV. We're not hearing rumours on that at all, and that really surprises me at this stage. I thought we would have had way more rumours of that than we have, say, with the A6000 series. The other thing too is that I think the longer we have to wait for the A7 IV, the more features that camera will have in it. And I definitely believe that if that doesn't come out till really late this year, that camera is going to be something special. I mean, if they announced it now, would it have 4K 60? Probably. But who knows what it will have if it comes out later this year. They will have already made a lot of sales from the A1. They would have already made a lot of sales from the A7S III. So the A7 IV may be sort of a mix of the Sony A1 and also the A7S III. Because remember, like I've said to you all before, that the incredible thing was when the A7 III was released, that camera blew everything out of the water. So I would not be surprised if they do it again. And I really think the longer it sort of waits, the more we'll get into that camera. So, I mean, things can't be improved much. I mean, they say the autofocus is better, but, you know, boy, it's getting to the point now where it really doesn't make a difference. I mean, that's the thing now. It's all getting so good that you would never know that there's really any difference in it. So I'm not sure that now things like that really matter that much. It's more things like the bit depth. It's more things like how the color looks that's in there. And now that we, you know, will that camera have the same color profiles as the A7S III and the A1, for instance? It's going to be interesting to see. So things like that. S-Cinetone, will it have that? So we've got to wait for those sort of things. So who knows? I'm just reading here. I went nuts and ordered the 100 to 400 Sigma, as well as the DJI Air S2, Axeman said. Whoa. That sounds very, very nice. Let me just come over here and just refresh that. I can't believe you got that. That's great. The Air 2S looks like it's really good. Axeman. It looks like it's really good, actually. Sigma 100 to 400 is a great lens as well. David, the A7R... Oh, yeah. They have got those pre-orders now for the A versions of those cameras, so you'll get the much better screen. And remember, too, I think that the A7R III is still a great camera. If you don't need the megapixels of the A7R IV and you want the better low light, the A7R IIIA is a great buy. So that's good too, and now you're getting those better screens, and they are much better. It's double the resolution, so it is an upgrade, and hopefully now that will follow onto all the new cameras that are released. That would certainly, I would expect, to be on the A7 IV. Now, it may even be, hopefully, on the new Sony A6900 or whatever they want to do there. I hope that has got that new screen as well. James said, problem, no chips for new cameras going to games. Yeah, I know that is an issue as well. There's a real chip shortage, silicon shortage. So it's pretty hard at the moment to get anything done. So we might be waiting a while to get all of this new gear. You know, that's a problem. Brett also said, glad there is no rumours about the A7 IV. Keep things, I think you're saying, quiet. Yeah, like I said, the longer that is waiting, I couldn't afford to buy it anyway at this stage, so it wouldn't bother me anyway. But I still would like it to be released, because then when I'm ready, I could purchase it too. Like I said to you, I would get the A7S III in a heartbeat now. If I had the money, I would just get another one as a replacement camera, as an extra camera, because I just love it, using it so much. The problem is when I do the Fusion weddings, I end up using the A7S for the video, and then I lose out on using it for stills, and I hate not having that for stills. So I'd love another A7S III. So hopefully around Christmassy or something, if the price comes down a bit more, I might get another one of those, because boy, that camera is going to be basically good for the next few years, and I hope that's the case. So do you have any more questions? If you have, fire them away. Otherwise, I'm just going to go and get a coffee and some lunch. Oh, well, it's too early for lunch. It's only 10:30. So fire away. Now, to the other thing as well is, if you have any questions about the way I've set this up today, comment just down below and I'll try and get back to you, because seemed to go okay? Like, it's been interesting because it has been a nightmare. I've been worried about doing all of this stuff for a while, but it looks like it's worked okay, which is interesting. Like I said, I've not really used the computer for anything of this, just little bits to check the chat and to add the chat in. That's the only thing I'm using the computer for. I'm streaming from the ATM Mini. I put the video on from a Raspberry Pi, which is a $100-odd computer that I built myself just down there. So that worked from that as well. So it's been fun. It's been a great experience to do it. Let's see down here. You have so much information, David. Keep up the great info. Thanks so much, Chantel. That's my daughter-in-law. She's lovely. David, waiting for the Sony 14mm. Also, have you bought it? You're going to love that. Do you do Astro? What's the reason why you've bought it? What are you going to use it for? Love to know. Woohoo lunch. It's too early for lunch. I'm thinking it's later. It's only 10:30. Come down here. Enjoy your lunch. Hello from Indonesia. Thank you so much. It won't be a lunch yet. It'll be a coffee, I think. Tried to get my hands on the 51.2 G Master, but Sony's short on stock. It doesn't surprise me, Brett. I think that's going to be hard to get for a while. I'm probably, I don't know. Look, I may get that one day, but I'm so happy with the 55 1.8. I love the size of that thing. It's great to stick on a gimbal, and it's good enough certainly for me. So, but look, I suppose if money was no object, I certainly would get the 51.2 because it's a beautiful lens. I mean, it really is a stunning looking lens from what I've seen. Your thoughts on the Sony A7C? For me, it's not too sure. So Aaron loves it, and I bagged it, and so did Aaron when it was first released. But Aaron now, that's his favourite camera I think that he's ever had. So Aaron loves it. The EVF would be the part that would do my head in, and it's only got the one card too, hasn't it? So there's some issues with that I think. So I wouldn't buy it personally. I would get something else. I'd probably buy the A7 III over the A7C, just for the dual card slots alone. David, go to your second job selling fruit. I know they love that fruit tree, I'm telling you. They absolutely love it. It looks like a Christmas tree because there's no leaves left on it now because we're in autumn. And all there is the fruit, which looks like this big yellow Christmas balls on the tree. It looks beautiful. I'll have to take a photo of it so I can show you. David, are you not using your A9 for wedding stills? I do still, but to be completely honest, I like the A7S better. I love the look of the stills that are coming off that, and I love the 12 megapixel file size. It is just awesome. And like I said, the last wedding that I shot, when I used the A9, because I was doing Fusion on that wedding, I couldn't use the A7S III, and the A9, definitely I noticed the lag, and I've never noticed that before. The funny thing is, if you compare the A9 to anything else, I suppose apart from the A1, the A9 is incredibly fast and everything else. But I can tell you, the A7S III is faster. It's faster to gain focus lock, and it's faster to take the photo. There was this ever so slight delay when you take the shot with the A9, which I didn't notice with the A7S III. So, yeah. I mean, that's mechanical. If you go electronic, the A9 will be quicker, obviously, and I do shoot most things in electronic. But when I was using flash on the A9, I could definitely tell there was a difference. There's a fraction of delay there. So, yes, look, I think the A7S III is the most underrated camera Sony have for stills, and I just don't understand people keep thinking that it's not a stills camera. 12 megapixels is ample for things like weddings and events and things like that, even portraits. And now you can also use things like gigapixel or whatever you want to use, to make the image larger if you need to. But let's be realistic. How many prints do people sell anymore? Not many. The only real prints that I sell now are my wedding albums, and 12 megapixel is ample for what I'm doing with wedding albums. So, and if you're sharing just to Instagram, which is where most of my work comes from, if I'm sharing to Facebook, the 12 megapixels is ample. So I think it just also depends on how you shoot. If you want to crop in post, the A7S is no good for you. I mean, you can crop, but not a lot. I don't crop in post. I nearly always get the image like I want as a final. So for me, the 12 megapixels is ample, and that's what I'm trying to say. It depends on how you shoot. Now, if you're a wildlife photographer, you probably would need, or a sports photographer, you probably would need that ability to crop in. I don't do that type of shooting. For events, for portraits, all that sort of stuff, 12 megapixels is ample, and the look of the A7S III files are just beautiful. So I think it's really underrated. I really do. And I think don't be so obsessed with megapixels unless you need to crop, because all it does is it fills up your storage devices, and it's harder for your computer to also work with. Like if you're going through 1,000 images on a wedding, I can tell you it's a joy to be going through 12 megapixel images instead of 50, 60 megapixel file sizes, and also like storage is just so much better. So yeah, I mean, it's all a personal thing. It really is. So I still use it for weddings, yes, but my main camera now, if I'm only doing stills, the main camera I will use is the A7S III. David, will the baby A1 have the better LCD and the new menu system? I'm so hoping it does, Matthew. Surely they would do that now. I really hope now that they bring out those A-series cameras that, that now has disappeared, where they're using those older monitors anymore. I mean, surely if they bring out anything now, that it should have the newer monitor. You're going to get the big, I can't do the noise. Or can I? No, it won't come through because I've got that turned off. It was a wah, 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 wah. Yeah, I really do hope that happens. And hopefully the new menu should be on all the new cameras as well. Colin said, I love my 51.4. Yep, nothing wrong with that lens. The A7C3 might be great. Yeah, look, there's only small things that they need to do to improve that camera. The EVF needs to be made better. I don't like the EVF in it. So the EVF needs to be made better, and also it needs dual card slots. If it had that, it's a beautiful camera. I mean, the body itself is really nice. So, Brett said, love the A9 too. When I had it for 2 weeks, must get one. And the good thing now, Brett, is the prices of those cameras have come down so much. I mean, you can, particularly the A9. The A9 is a bargain really now compared to what you paid for it before. It really is. But like I said, I think I'll get an A7S III if I was getting another camera, because I love the video from it so much and the stills. Any word on a Sigma 70-200 or a Sony GM 70-200? No, not at this stage, but I can guarantee that the 70-200 will be upgraded by Sony eventually. We just don't know when. I've said before, I think the 85 will get an upgrade because that's slow. Even though it's a beautiful lens, it's still slow. It needs a linear motors in it. The 70-200 will, and also the 2470 also will get updated. It's just a matter of time before that comes out. Ike said, yes, the A9 has a slow mechanical shutter. It certainly does, Ike. I was surprised, and I'd never really noticed it that much before. But boy, the A7C, the A7S III kills it if you're dealing with flash. It really does. Love my A7S III. So do I. Like I said, I raved and raved and raved about the A9, but the A7S III is definitely my favourite camera now, that's for sure. Are you sticking to JPEG or are you using HVEC? I'm not using HVEC yet. because the support may be just not there depending on what I want to do with it. But eventually, yes, I will go to HVEC. I shoot RAW on one card and then I shoot JPEG on the other. Once the HVEC is supported everywhere, I will convert to HEVC, I think it is actually. I'll convert to that because it's a much better format. It's much smoother. There's less problems with gradations, you know, like in your sky and things like that. So it's a much better format. But yeah, I'll have to wait and see. I must test it to see if Capture One accepts it. Because I haven't done that yet, so I'll have to see. I just stayed away from it initially because of the lack of support, but it might be now that the support's caught up. Tim said, if you crop, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, look, like I've said to you before, if you crop a lot, then having the high megapixels is amazing. If you're a retoucher doing really high-end retouching, there's a reason why they use medium format for that sort of job. You know, they like the high megapixels so they can really go in and enlarge and do the skin corrections and things like that. So high megapixels definitely still has its place, but I just don't need it. It just depends on what you want to, you know, what you want to do. Roscoe said, hope Sony comes out with an A9 III. That would be my next camera. They may. I talked about that last week, that they might bring out an A3. It'll probably have similar things to the A1, but it probably will get rid of the video features. So that would be my guess if they do bring out an A3. I still think the A7 IV would be come out before that camera comes out, though. So, you know, I think that's the case. But, yeah, I think there's definitely a market for the the A9 III. Remember too, the A1 is so expensive. So, you know, if you could bring out an A9 III that's $2,000 odd, whatever, cheaper, it's a big saving, and it might be all that people need. Well, I think the baby A1 is going to be that A6900 Axeman. Yeah, I think that's what that's going to be. Ike said, so true, 50 megapixels sounds cool until you have to open up Lightroom. It does. See, this is the thing. I hate opening up and going through weddings with multiple big files. I mean, I used to have the A7 III, and I didn't use it. I used to just capture one or two shots with it, and then I wouldn't use it anymore. Like I said, if you're going, my system is this, that I go through Photo Mechanic, and I do an initial cull off the card. So this is how I work. And then that then is imported into a folder, which I then take into Capture One. Photo Mechanic is incredible. I must do a video talking about it, but Photo Mechanic is amazing. Now, when you are dealing with these 12 megapixel file sizes, I can tell even the difference when I'm going with my A9 or the A7 III. The 12 megapixel is unbelievable if you want to go culling images. It is incredible. And once you work that way, you really don't want to go back. But like I said, you know if you need megapixels or not. If you don't need megapixels, perhaps it might be that you have, say, a high megapixel camera like the A7R4, and you do what I did before, and you used to just take a few images and then you'd capture everything else with the 24. I think the 24 is the sweet spot. That is around about the perfect size if you want to be able to crop you know, a reasonable amount and still have a decent image. But like I said, I don't crop. I very rarely crop at all because it takes time, and I don't want to be doing that. So if you're not doing that and you shoot like I do, 12 megapixels is ample for anyone. And like I said, I will use that every day, and I just love it. Storage is so much better, retouching is so much quicker, editing is so much quicker, culling is so much quicker. So just don't underestimate it. It really is terrific. The A7S III is great for astrophotographers with its great low light ability and large pixels. Yeah, you're right, Bill. And 12 megapixels is plenty. That's exactly right. I can't wait for a few years from now when the A7S III price drops so I can afford it. Yeah, it'll happen. Like I said, I'd love to have the money to buy another one. I definitely would buy that as my next camera if I had enough money. Do you have a plan to visit India? If yes, welcome you, love from. I'd love to. We definitely can't go now, obviously, because, you know, the virus that's there. In fact, we've closed borders to everyone here in Australia, so we can't travel anywhere at this stage. But I would love to travel to India. I'd love to see some of the sites over there. The colour everything. So, you know, I really would love to one day go there. Raymond said, remind everyone, thumbs up. Yes, really appreciate it if you could give me a thumbs up, guys. It does make a difference to my channel. Just looking at Sony for birding, is the A9 still a good choice? Yes, it certainly is. It's if you're dealing with silent shutter, it's incredibly fast. The file sizes are enough as long as you have a decent lens that's long enough. Yes, for sure. I'd love to see you use other brands, the Nikon Z6 and the Canon R6. I'd love to as well. I'd love to get my hands on that just to be able to use them and try them out just to see, you know, so I could talk about them. Hopefully one day I'll be able to do that. And that's one good thing about being unsponsored, I suppose, is I can use anything. So that is one good thing about that. I need a 24mm 1.8 APS-C lens with OSS. There is only a 9-year-old one, but it's very expensive and not stabilized. Sony has already this nice 35 1.8 OSS. Why don't they make a 24mm version of that? Not sure, but I love the 24, the 1.4. Is that too much for you to get that? Is that why you're saying you want a 1.8 lens? Oh, APS-C lens. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. I had that lens and it was great, actually, the 24 1.8. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Someone may do it. Tamron or someone may do it. Yes, don't forget to add the @DavidOsler. It does make it easier. I mean, I'm reading everything at the moment now, but during the show, and I'll keep harping on about this for a while because it is easier then, and I see people aren't talking amongst themselves. You can cull images on Capture One from the SD card, then import, saves time using third party. It does, look, it does, Brett, but the Photo Mechanic is by far the fastest I've used. I've tried both, and Photo Mechanic is by far the fastest I've ever seen, and the tagging functions are incredible. The searching features in that are just unbelievable, how you can just search through your whole computer and it will find the file for you and everything. There's a lot of features with Photo Mechanic that make it worthwhile. And so I'll stick that way. I have noticed, I think the last update they did that where you could bring in properly from SD cards, but it still doesn't work as well as Photo Mechanic. But you're right, you can do it if you don't want to use third-party software, but I just love Photo Mechanic. It's just fantastic. APS-C lens selection sucks across the brands except for Fuji. Yeah, it's never been as supported. I agree with you, Ike. Fuji is amazing if you're dealing with APS-C lenses. Sony just haven't done much, but I mean Tamron at least now seem to be releasing APS-C lenses, which is a great thing, you know. I mean, at least now we're getting APS-C lenses from third parties. So hopefully now that Sony are releasing that new body, they'll bring out some new lenses. Well, we can just hope that, can't we? Because, you know, that's really what we would love to sort of see. Viltrox has a 24 1.4. Haven't tried it. That'd be manual focus, wouldn't it, though? But probably a lovely lens. Can I get a Hoyo? Chan said, you certainly can. Hoyo. Rocco said, use my A7S for a super moon shots and pics are great. Love the A7S more and more. I'm the same. I just cannot put it down. Like I said, it is the best camera I've ever owned, and I really just absolutely love it. And that's about it. We're down to about the end of the chat. Hopefully we can get back with Aaron next week. He's just been too busy, guys, so I don't know when that'll happen again. Aaron's been really busy. Apart from that, I've got some good reviews coming up. I've got the new slider that I've got to review, and I've also got a couple of other things. Well, there's one thing I'm still under NDA I can't talk about that is game-changing, and I really mean game-changing if you're into video. What else have I got to review? Oh, there's just another microphone that I've got to review, and hopefully I'm going to be getting the new Slipod Pro shortly as well. I think Moser are going to be sending me that. So there's a few things coming up, and I've also got a new battery charger that I want to show you guys too because it's really cool. So I've got a few things coming up. I am going to also start posting in the other channel too. I've been a bit slack on that, but I will start posting over into that too. That's talking more about Apple and all of this sort of setup that I've got here. So apart from that, everyone, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll be back at the same time next week. I will have a bandage on my head though, because like I said, I'm going to the the specialist, plastic surgeon on Monday to do to get the rest of this cancer out. Hopefully they get it in one go and I don't have to go again after that. So I will have my bandage back on next week, or I might be wearing a hat. So we'll just have to see. Let me just see what anyone has said here. The second you said game changing, I subscribe so I don't miss that. Yep, it's going to be interesting. I've never seen anything like this before, and it's really cool. I just can't wait to show you. But I've had it for around 3 or 4 weeks now, and it's just been held back from being released. I'm not sure why, but it is unbelievable if you're into video. And David O, any update on the upgraded A700? No, nothing on that yet at this stage. We're still all waiting for that. It's going to happen, but we just sort of got to wait for when. I am going to test the 150 to 500. I'm just waiting on Tamron to send it to me, actually. Perhaps they just haven't come in here yet. So I'm still waiting on that. Don't forget, folks, Dogecoin is going to $1. Make sure to get some coins so we can make money to buy more gear. So you're saying we should jump into it, are you, Ike? I must look at all this stuff. How the hell do you do it? Heath said, good luck with your surgery. I'm sure I'm going to be fine, Heath. I mean, they'll get it all out, I'm sure. All the best with the op. All right, guys, that's it. So apart from that, everyone, I think it went okay, considering I'm doing this completely new setup without using the computer or anything. I think it went pretty well, so I'm pretty happy. I've got the chat up. I've got the videos that I can play from the Raspberry Pis and everything else. So apart from that, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now, guys.